Good evening, team. Sean here. I just want to take a moment to talk to you about a concept that I've been reading about through a gentleman named Ben Hunt's writings. Now, Ben writes for a website called Epsilon Theory, and I don't know even how I found these guys, somehow on Twitter. I think if there's someone who I follow was retweeting it, and I really got into it. They have an excellent article on taking back your vote, which really connected with me in terms of some of the things that I was seeing in the way democracy is developing in Alberta and Canada, and my own political activities and thoughts. They really put words to that. However, this is just a chunk of an article, the latest article that was just published today. The context of this article is the admission scandal that's going on in the States, where celebrities and other wealthy people paid essentially bribes to and falsified information, like did pictures of their kids rowing on an erg machine or whatever you call it to support an application on the basis that they're going to be rowing on some rowing team and have been rowing or pole vaulting or whatever the case may be. And he talks about why people do this, what it means, what we can do to address it in our own lives, day to day. One of the things he talks about is this concept called train your voice and use it. And I think it really connected for me because, again, without really having necessarily put the words to it, I think that this is what I am personally trying to do with this channel and with my website, sort of less obviously with my Twitter, is train your voice. Work on writing, expressing yourself, talking, filming yourself. And so I've really found it fulfilling and an interesting process to start your website. Now he talks about how if you don't have this sort of an outlet, it can have negative repercussions on you in terms of, it's obviously a healthy part of our lives to express ourselves if we feel the need to. And sometimes that means broadcasting your thoughts, or sometimes maybe it means having a close friend you can confide in, or possibly even a therapist. And that's a good release valve for all of us. However, it's also, I think, one of the tools in our toolbox when we think about ourselves as citizens and active participants in democracy in our society. And so, here's what he says about this. Every creative person should start a blog to express and develop their art. Do not distribute it. Do not publicize it. Do not play the ego-driven game of you. I think it's easy to fall into that. Erase it all every 6 months if that's what you need to do, because odds are you have nothing interesting to say. But start training your voice now, because one day you will. So it's sort of funny, like, I have my blog, and you do get drawn into playing the game of you in terms of how many people read it, but, like, let's face it, I'm very much a nobody. Not that many people will ever watch this or read my blog. I don't delete them. One of the main reasons is I really enjoy, and this is a recommendation for you, is I enjoy keeping them up publicly as skin in the game, so that you're not making these things lightly. You're putting effort into them, even if it's clumsy or even if you have nothing to say. Also, I like to go back at them and observe how things have unfolded. For instance, I love making election predictions on these things and talking about politics. And I make fairly bold predictions because that's actually fun to do. Much funner than hedging your bets about these things. So I like to make the predictions publicly, and I like to revisit them periodically. I'll retweet it and say, I was right about this and wrong about this. And I think that's an exercise that has a lot of value, and I do the evaluation in public as well. Again, as part of the accountability, skin in the game aspect of it. Yeah, you know. And anyway, so that's the only modification I would add to Ben's idea here. Yeah. So anyways, those are my thoughts working on developing your voice. I urge you to do it. If you are so inclined or have thought about it, just go ahead and do it. Very easy to set up a website, costs essentially nothing. Very easy to set up a YouTube, that costs nothing. And go for it. Have some fun. And ultimately, it's bizarre. Like I find, I'm not obviously a television presenter or anything, but you do get better at talking to the camera. You do get better at writing. One of the reasons I started my blog was because all my writing had evolved into work writing, and it had that work feeling. And that's great for work, but not everything we do in our lives is a work. We do participate in democracy. You might coach Little League. You might be a Shriner. I don't know. And it's very good to be able to communicate and express yourself in writing in those forums in a way that isn't necessarily the exact same as when you're, personally I'm a lawyer, when you're writing pleadings or a letter to a client or to opposing counsel. So getting practice in that way has been very valuable for me. And, whether or not I'm a good writer, you be the judge. Not really that worried about it. I try hard, I evaluate it, I work at it. Some are better than others. Some videos are better than others. But it's a process. It's about trying things, seeing what works, seeing what you like, seeing how you learn, seeing how the rest of the world unfolds around you. And frankly, I've really enjoyed it. So, all I have to say about that is thank you for watching. And if you have anything you would like me to look at, please let me know in the comments or reach out to me. There's a million ways on my YouTube you can find me. Or my website, a comment as I mentioned, or just Google me, and you can track me down, no problem. Anyways, have a great night, and we will talk again soon. Thank you.